Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. It's the season finale tonight. The NHL season has come and gone. The draft is right around the corner. The PWHL's draft is going on right now as we speak. So we'll have lots of draft talk to get through on the show here tonight. Who has already gone in the PWHL? It's been a lot of NCAA players, but some international ones as well. We'll get you caught up there. We'll talk and preview and look at what might be going on in the NHL draft this weekend as we get ready for that. The Hockey Hall of Fame announced its class of 2025 earlier today. Some outstanding names on the list. We'll give recognition to each one of those new elite members of a terrific club. And then, when we're all done with that, we're going to go back. We're going to look back on some of our favorite moments of the 2025 hockey season. All that plus more coming up right here, right now, the season 4 finale of the Neutral Zone. And hello and good evening, everyone. Once again, I am your host, Adam Karnick. You are locked into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Our season finale show here tonight. Lots to get to. It might be the season finale, but we've still got lots of stuff to dissect and dive into. The NHL draft is this weekend. The PWHL draft is going on right now. So we got lots of draft talk to get through that we'll dive into tonight, from players that are just starting their professional careers to some players that have been recognized for some amazing professional careers. The Hockey Hall of Fame also made its announcement earlier today for the class of 2025. We will go through that and give a tip of the cap to all of those deserving members. And then we'll look back at some of our fond and favorite parts of the 2025 season. All that, plus we'll see whatever else fun we have along the way tonight. You are tuned right in to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsors, and then we're going to dive into some draft talk. Do not go anywhere. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you here for our season finale, our season 4 season finale show. We had we did the show late last week because of the Stanley Cup final being awarded, and I figured we should come in and do one more episode before we close the door on the season and take a little bit of a summer break. If you are watching the show live tonight across YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, hop on into the chat, drop us a comment, let us know where you're watching from and what your favorite moment from this past season was. We'll get to some of those at the end of the show as well. Ways you can follow along with this show. We are available for you on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. I am at Adam_Karnick. Zach, when he is with us, is at The Pupless as well. And then if you are watching later on as a podcast on YouTube, thank you for being here as well. We appreciate you being here. Josh Ritter already in the comment. Yeah, we know what your favorite moment of the season was, Josh. Absolutely. Anytime you get to hoist Lord Stanley's cup, everything else kind of gets pushed to the back seat a little bit. Absolutely. But thanks for tuning in and watching the show here tonight. So wanted to start the show off tonight with some draft talk going on. We have, of course, the NHL draft will be upcoming this weekend. We have the PWHL draft is going on right now as we speak. So let's kind of get caught up. The PWHL, as in a lot of things with these I'll still refer to it as a startup league. Completed 2 seasons, but still very much in its infancy stage. The PWHL does things a little bit differently with the draft. Each team in the first couple rounds gets 5 minutes to make a pick. Then in the latter rounds, the 3rd through 6th rounds, they get just 3 minutes to make a pick. They also, each franchise has 1 timeout that it can take at any point during the draft to pause the draft, either to iron out a trade or try to hash out a decision behind the scenes of who to take. A lot, they did a random draw also between Seattle and Vancouver to determine the order for the 2 expansion teams. They are drafting 7th and 8th in the draft. They will flip-flop in every single round. So in the first round, Vancouver won the draw. So Vancouver picked 7th in the first round, and then Seattle went 8th in the second round. Then Seattle went 7th. Vancouver had the 8th pick. It traded away that selection. We'll get into that a little bit. And then they are wrapping up the 3rd round here in just a little bit. Vancouver had the 7th pick. They traded it to Toronto in the same trade that sent their 2nd round pick away. And then Seattle has the 8th and final pick in the 3rd round. So some notes there on the draft here tonight. A lot of NCAA players. Doesn't mean that every single player being taken is either from the US or from Canada. Far be it. There is quite an international presence in this draft, but most of the players are coming from NCAA programs. Go figure. That's still the pipeline right now for professional women's sports. You don't have the programs in place like you do on the men's side with all the major junior colleges and teams and things like that. So first round, very quickly, the New York Sirens had the number 1 overall pick tonight, and they went with Christiana Kaltnikova out of Colgate University, forward out of Colgate University, but from the Czech Republic. So appropriately enough, the first pick overall, not from North America at all, from the Czech. Christiana Kaltnikova from the Czech Republic went first overall. Haley Wynn then went 2nd overall to the Boston Fleet out of Clarkson University. The Sirens then made a trade with Toronto at 3rd overall to move back up to the number 3 spot, and they selected Casey O'Brien out of the University of Wisconsin. So back-to-back forwards going for the Sirens, trying to increase their offense. Go figure, that's been a problem for the Sirens in their first couple of seasons, trying to get enough scoring going on there. You then had at 4th overall for the Montreal Victory, took the second defenseman off the board, Nicole Gosling out of Clarkson University, the first Canadian off the board at 4 overall, staying in her home country of Canada to play for the Montreal Victory. Then the Ottawa Charge took Rory Godet out of Cornell. The defending champion Frost also went defense. Kendall Cooper out of Quinnipiac went 7th overall. Then Vancouver, its first ever selection, went with an international selection. Michelle Karvinen, a forward out of Frölunda of the Finland and Denmark League, SDHL. So the first draft pick in Vancouver PWHL history. Then Seattle to finish out the first round. For Seattle, its first ever pick, they went with Canadian forward Jenna Buglioni out of Ohio State University. So the first round, again, you had Christiana Koltnikova, Haley Wynn, Casey O'Brien, Nicole Gosling, Rory Godet, Kendall Cooper, Michelle Karvinen, Jenna Buglioni going in the first round. Every team had at least one pick with the exception of Toronto. Toronto did not have a pick. The New York Sirens made a trade with Toronto to get the 3rd overall pick. They also sent its 4th round selection to New York. That was in exchange for defenseman Ella Shelton. So Toronto giving up a couple of draft picks to get a known blue liner already. So some moves going on there. Then Vancouver got in on the trading act, sending its 2nd and 3rd round picks to Toronto in exchange for goalie Kristen Campbell, and then also Toronto's 3rd overall pick. So Toronto getting rid of a lot of picks. 1st, 3rd, and 4th round picks for Toronto already gone. Did get a second round pick, which Toronto then used on, as I'm getting it pulled back up here, they used their own 2nd round selection on Emma Gentry out of St. Cloud University. And then with its second round pick, the Scepters went with Kiera Zanin, the forward out of Ohio State. So lots of trades going on here early in the PWHL draft. We'll have a breakdown for you of that once that is all said and done, but some great stuff going on there in the PWHL. The NHL draft, meanwhile, is getting ready for it to commence this weekend, as we're going to switch things up a little bit here. And as we were getting ready for this year's draft, I found a fun article that I thought could be a little bit of a clever and unique way to look at it. The USA Today did an interesting study, and we'll see how well it does. But the USA Today chose, rather than doing its own traditional mock draft, the USA Today asked 4 separate AIs to run and do a mock draft for the NHL. So I thought this could be kind of fun to look at. They used Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Meta, and Chat GPT to draft the first round. The Islanders, of course, will be drafting 1st overall here in just a few days. And everybody in the world, including all 4 of the AIs that USA Today used, expect Matthew Schaefer of the Erie Otters to go number 1 overall. And I've got to agree with that. I think at this point it is Schaefer. I'd be very, very, very surprised if it's anybody other than Schaefer going number 1 overall to the Islanders. Is this as good of a class as we've seen the last couple of years with Macklin, Celebrini, and Connor Bedard? I don't know if it's necessarily going to be that good. That's a lot of weight to try to throw on Schaefer's shoulders right out of the gate. But Schaefer is certainly the consensus number 1 overall pick. Where it got kind of interesting, the number 2 overall pick was also nearly unanimous between the 4 AIs, 3 of them picking Michael Missa, the centerman out of the Saginaw Spirit, to go 2nd overall. Microsoft Copilot was the only one to differentiate there. Anton Frondel from Djurgården instead was who Microsoft had the San Jose Sharks taking it 2 overall. Where it kind of got interesting then was 3 on down was where you saw a lot of discrepancy and a lot of different names start to pop up and a lot less consensus. For the Blackhawks, all 4 of the AIs had a different name chosen. Interestingly enough, all 4 of them chose centerman to go to the Hawks. We saw Michael Missa, Anton Frondel, Caleb Desnoyers, and James Hagens. Personally, I would go with Hagens. I mean, if Missa is there, I think that's the route to go, but I don't know that he'll go. That he'll be there at 3. I would expect the Sharks likely to take him, in which case I personally would go for James Hagens out of Boston College. I think that's the route to go for the Blackhawks, but it's interesting to see that at 3 already that's where you're starting to see a lot of the discrepancies and a lot of the disagreements pop up, and you see a lot of that then throughout the rest of the first round. Looking at this, there was one other pick, interestingly enough, where they actually were very nearly unanimous at 10th overall to the Anaheim Ducks. 3 of the 4 AIs selected Roger McQueen, the centerman from the Brandon Wheat Kings, the Wheat Kings, to go to the Anaheim Ducks. Only Chat GTP differentiated on that one, taking Radim Murtka from the Seattle Thunderbirds, a right-handed defensiveman, to go there. But otherwise, you see a lot of discrepancy all throughout the picks. Most of the time it's 2, at most 2 of them agreeing on a pick, and the rest of them having discrepancies and having strangeness going on there. But in an interesting way to do it, it'll be interesting to see how close the AIs come to being accurate. Because the AIs, let's face it, I mean, they're just basically working off of whatever information you feed into them. But it'll be very interesting to see how that compares to the real draft and how this AI draft ranks against some of the human experts, so to speak. But again, I completely 100% expect that we'll see Matthew Schaefer go number 1 overall to the Islanders. I would not be surprised at all if we then saw Michael Missa go 2nd overall. I think after that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of wheeling and dealing. But I've been reading, and from what I've been seeing and picking up from a lot of different sources, and just keeping my eyes on everything. Josh Ritter, in a few years, AI might be making the actual selections. I hope not. It's a lot more fun to curse out a human general manager rather than an AI robot. Plus, I mean, how do you fire a robot? At some point, what do? You switch from Microsoft to Chat GTP. That's far less exciting, far less fun there. It doesn't have quite the same ring to it as it would otherwise. But from what I've been reading and following, I would not be surprised if there's a lot of movement on draft night. You've got teams like the Blackhawks that have been making it known that they're willing to move down from 3. How much of that is a smokescreen? How much of that is real? Of course, it's draft season, just like in any league. I would talk about it all the time with the NFL, that draft season is also lying season, that you can't believe everything that you hear and read. The same holds true in the NHL. General managers, they like to play games. They like to play coy. They like to see what they can get away with, who they can trick, or who they can get what to believe. But still, there's a lot of smoke around the idea that the Blackhawks are willing to move out of 3. They've got 2 first-round picks, so they could. It'd be interesting to see what they do with 2 picks. They've got their own, plus they've got Toronto's, so they could look at making a trade to move down. They could look at making a trade maybe to acquire a veteran. Maybe they're at the point where they want to actually get serious about trying to win again now. I'd be a little surprised if that happens, but I would not be surprised at all to see them be a player on draft night and move up and down the board as they see fit. So it could be a very interesting weekend in hockey in the NHL. As they go through some of that. One other quick story, and then we're going to take ourselves a break, and then we're just going to have some fun for the rest of the show tonight. The Hockey Hall of Fame made its announcement today for the class of 2025. There was a name very near and dear to my heart that got brought in to the Hall of Fame, but it would absolutely be appropriate to list off everybody that got brought into the Hall of Fame earlier today. Probably the 4 biggest names for everybody with this class would be from Boston, defenseman Zdeno Chara, forward Joe Thornton, the ageless one, forever a San Jose Shark, but also then spent time with other teams at the end of his career as well. Duncan Keith, the longtime Blackhawks defenseman, and then finished up his career with the Edmonton Oilers. And then Buffalo Sabres forward Alexander Mogilny got named to the Hockey Hall of Fame as well. For Mogilny, this has been a long time coming. A career that started in 1989 and then finished up in 2006 with the New Jersey Devils. Broke in with the Buffalo Sabres, played with them from 89 through 95, then went to play for the Vancouver Canucks from 95 till 2000. Then 2 separate stints with the New Jersey Devils and also some time with the Toronto Maple Leafs there. But he retired back in 2006. The first ever Soviet player, a player that defected from the Soviet Union specifically to come play in the NHL. We saw that for a long time in baseball, where you'd have players defecting from Cuba and making their way into the United States to play. But Mogilny did that coming from Russia, from the Soviet Union, defecting specifically to come play in the NHL. And he makes the Hockey Hall of Fame today. 990 career games played, just south of 500 career goals, 473 goals, 559 assists. A fifth round pick by the Buffalo Sabres, and he gets in to the Hockey Hall of Fame today. So congratulations to him. The other 4 members of the Hockey Hall of Fame, as announced today, I'm getting the list pulled up, so I want to make sure that I get everybody in here properly. Never want to exclude anybody. I did see, as I'm making sure I get all my names correct here, I did see that the Hockey Hall of Fame had a little bit of trouble in finding Zdeno Chara to contact him about to let him know that he was in it. So hopefully he's heard. I have to imagine he's heard by now that he made it. Otherwise, that would be funny and also embarrassing, to say the least, that we can't find him. We can't find him to welcome him in. Also making it in, Brianna Decker has made it in. Jennifer Botterill has also made it in. Danielle Salvago made it in as a developer of the game, and also Jack Parker as a developer of the game. So that is the 8-person Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2025. Congratulations to each and every one of them for making it. Of course, the person in that class that's nearest and dearest to my heart would be Duncan Keith, most famously of the Chicago Blackhawks, a stalwart of that dynasty from 2009, first winning the cup in 2010 through the end of 2015, the end of the 14-15 season. But he played with the Hawks well after that for a while before finally finishing his career with the Edmonton Oilers. That was the player that, of course, was nearest and dearest to me when I saw that. I did a little celebratory dance this afternoon when I saw that Duncan Keith made it. But congratulations to everybody in the class. Job well done. Careers well deserving of getting enshrined in Toronto. All right, we're going to take for ourselves a quick little break, and then when we come back, we're going to have some fun to wrap up the season of the show here. We're going to look back at some of our favorite moments from the 2025 season. If you're watching live, let us know what some of your favorite moments were of the season. This is the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back after this.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Our season 4 finale. That we will, after tonight, we'll take the summer off for a little bit. That's not to say that there will not be content being put out by the show or the station. Oh, no. Over the summer, we just won't be doing a regular weekly show. We take July and August off. Part of September, we'll come back. Zach and I will come back mid-late September. This past year, it was October before we came back. My goal is to come back a little sooner than that this go around. I don't want it to be quite that late into the season before we're back, but certainly July and August won't be doing a weekly show, but follow along with the station on YouTube at IE Sports Radio and follow along with this show on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. You can follow along with me personally also there at Adam_Karnick, but be sure to also follow the station, all the social media platforms, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok at IE Sports Radio. And as things pop up, as things happen, we'll do short little videos. Nothing super long, but enough to let you know that we're still here. We're still thinking of you, the hockey fan, and we can interact and have some fun that way as well. So just because there's not going to be shows for the next couple months, there'll still be hockey content to put out there for you. Absolutely. We don't want to completely abandon you out there. But as we wrap things up, want to talk about some of the favorite moments of this season. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of NHL in this, but not going to limit ourselves exclusively to NHL talk. There will be other talk in there. And Brian Francione, Zdeno Chara, his favorite hockey Hall of Famer. I'm not surprised at Chara, one of the great defensive men of all time in the NHL, just a behemoth of a man, a career well-deserving of winding up in Toronto at the end. Absolutely. Some of my favorite parts of the season. Well, we'll start off with a huge individual achievement on the year. Alexander Ovechkin becoming the all-time greatest goal scorer in NHL history. I had said a couple years ago that it would be this season, but I had it earlier than it would actually be. I had predicted that it would be Thanksgiving of 2024. Instead, it wound up being late winter of 2025, but still that season. And of course, it came from the left face-off dot on the power play on a one-timer. When the Capitals got on that power play, I was watching the game with my wife and my daughter, and as soon as they went on the power play, I just said, Ovechkin's not coming off the ice for this entire 2 minutes. It doesn't matter how many shifts it is. It doesn't matter what happens. Ovechkin is going to be out there. And it didn't take very long at all. It wasn't, Ironically enough, it was one of probably his least graceful one-timers of all time, as he kind of he lost his balance a little bit, did a little bit of a belly flop on the shot, but as soon as it went in, he then leaned right into that celebration. Congratulations to Alexander Ovechkin. It's amazing that all the way back in season 1 of this show, Zach and I talked about Ovechkin breaking this record. And even then, we were talking about it less of an if and more of a when this is going to happen. But still, to see it come to fruition, congratulations, Ovi. Job very, very, very well done. Another one of my favorite moments from the season, the Four Nations face-off. Wow. Just wow. Zach and I talked about it a lot at the beginning of the season, at the early part of the hockey season. We were talking about the Four Nations face-off. I will admit I was skeptical at first. I kind of looked at it and it was, what are we doing now? All right, I get it. It doesn't matter what they do for the All-Star game. It always winds up being weird and odd, and nobody can really figure this thing out. And all right, what weird version of this are we doing now for the All-Star break, All-Star festivities? The Four Nations face-off was amazing. That was some of the best hockey. And Brian pointing out here in the chat room that obviously the fights are the first thing that come to mind in that terrific USA-Canada round 1 bout, the round robin portion of the tournament. But even just the hockey itself was outstanding, incredibly well played, very well done. And you could tell that for each player involved, that this meant a lot to them. The players have always made a big point every time that the collective bargaining agreement comes up. The players have made it a point that they want to continue to be involved with the Olympics, that they want that Olympic break, that they want the opportunity to put on their nation's sweater. And you saw that here with Four Nations. The only complaint that I would have about it is that, unfortunately, a guy like Alexander Ovechkin couldn't be involved because Russia wasn't one of the Four Nations. I get that you've got to limit it because you only want it to run for a week. You don't want to disrupt. That's one of the big things always with the NHL is the owners and general managers don't want to disrupt the NHL season, and you certainly don't want to see anybody get hurt. And all the fights and the way that the players took the tournament so seriously. Injuries are absolutely a real thing to be worried about. You are right to worry about and fear for injuries in something like a Four Nations face-off. But my goodness, what a tournament, as Josh pointed out in the chat. The Connor McDavid magic to win the game, the gold medal game in overtime against the USA. Connor McDavid and Connor Hellebuck going at it at the end. McDavid getting the winner there. I mean, there's not very many goalies in the world that would be able to stop McDavid on a close range snipe like that. So nothing for a Hellebuck to really hang his head over. But what an amazing tournament. They're not going to do this every year, unfortunately, in the NHL. Man, I would encourage them, make the Four Nations face-off be a regular staple. All right, you don't want to do it every single year. I get that. But have it be more than every 3 or 4 years. Have it maybe be every other year we do a Four Nations face-off. And maybe you can look at switching up some of the teams. Maybe, obviously, the US and Canada would have to be involved every single year, but maybe you're able to come up with something like you have Sweden and Czechoslovakia one year, Sweden and Denmark, or Russia and Denmark, and Russia and Germany, or different things like that, to get some different teams and some different countries involved in that, because that was an amazing part of this season. Just some incredible hockey that went down there. We also saw this past season in the NHL, we saw the fastest overtime goal in NHL history. I was just reminded of this one earlier tonight too. For the Seattle Kraken, a goal just 5 seconds into overtime. The Brandon Montour, the Kraken won the opening faceoff, and clearly Montour and the rest of the Kraken had this drawn up, because won the faceoff, and immediately the pass up ice to Montour, who then instantly turned it into a breakaway and buried it to win just 4 seconds into overtime. I love overtime hockey. I will not apologize for enjoying shootouts. I think shootouts in the regular season are an amazing thing and a great thing, and something that should continue to be done, continue to be used. But I get that that hockey purists would prefer to see actual hockey determine the hockey game. I get the argument. I understand the argument that a shootout, as exciting as it isn't hockey. It's a spectacle. You want to see teammates working out on the ice together. 3-on-3 in the regular season is incredible. It is high octane, amazing excitement. And Brandon Montour getting that fastest goal in NHL overtime history, 4 seconds in, to get the win for the Kraken. A great moment from this season as well. PWHL, the Minnesota, first of all, the names for the PWHL. I'm starting to like what seems to be the tradition in the PWHL, that the first season you don't have a nickname. You are PWHL, your city or region, and then in your second season you get to debut a nickname. All of the nicknames in the PWHL I really like, and the one I like the best is also the team that seems to have a little bit of a dynasty going for it already, the Minnesota Frost. Love that nickname, love those colors, love that sweater. It is sharp. And I'm not just saying this because it happens to be the team that my daughter has somewhat fallen in love with, and wears that sweater now every single time she goes out on the ice to skate. As she's as she is starting her own little personal hockey career. Proud papa moment for myself. But the Minnesota Frost, not just obviously the off ice with the name and the logo and the sweater, everything about it, just beautifully done, A+ all the way around. But then the Frost as well, winning their second straight Walter Cup championship. We have a little bit of a dynasty going already in the PWHL. It'll be interesting to see how this third season goes, as now Vancouver and Seattle. Minnesota got somewhat gutted here in the offseason. It'll be very interesting to see how the Frost are able to do in this third season, especially now with back-to-back championships, and you know that everyone is targeting them. Absolutely everybody has their eyes on Minnesota, and every time they play this next season, it will be, there's the defending champs. If we beat them, we know we can compete with anybody on any stage. But congratulations to the Minnesota Frost, the delayed sweep, beating the Ottawa Charge in 4 games, taking games 2, 3, and 4. A great moment from the hockey season. And with that, we are going to bid adieu to season 4 of the Neutral Zone. Shout out and thank you once again, of course, to each one of our sponsors here at IE Sports Radio. Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. They are offering free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to vitalapparel.com, and when you do, use the promo code IESR at checkout to get 15% off of your order. Not only are you getting yourself great workout apparel and attire, you're also then helping to support mental health. Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Go to iesportsradio.com/seal the deal wax seals. Let's face it, you're always sending out mail. 4th of July is just a week away. You're going to be having barbecues. You've got your summer get-togethers. Labor Day is right around the corner. You want people to know to come on over. Give them that stamp and seal. Let them know that once they see that, they know it's from you. Cecilia B will help you personalize, customize, create your own unique stamp and seal of approval. Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And of course, thank you to IE Sports Radio for providing the platform that allows us to do this show. Thank you to Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, for all the hard work you are doing behind the scenes. It does not go unnoticed, nor is it unappreciated. Thank you to everybody that's hanging out in the chat room with us here tonight. Karen Rodriguez, Josh Ritter, Brian Francione, thank you very much. Thank you to the 150 people we've had watching the episode tonight across YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Finally, thank you, the listener, the viewer. Whether this is your first episode or you were with us all season, thank you for making this season great. We will see you next season. Have a great summer, everybody.